All right, so welcome to Intuitive You on Oneness Talk Radio. We are so glad you are here today. And today I'm going to be interviewing an intuitive parent. And so what I'm really excited about sharing is how to be an intuitive parent, because unless you are a parent yet, you're probably going to wonder, how could I possibly do that? And if I am, how can I be an even better parent? So we actually are going to be talking to Amber over in Australia, and both of her children are in the Intuitive Child program. And so Amber, I would just love for you to share what it is like to be an intuitive parent, how you feel like you are nurturing them, and also what the program is doing for them.
Yeah. Parenting in itself can be, a hard task. So I think the best thing about, them going through the program and whatnot is watching them light up and seeing what comes to them, what lights up their soul, and makes them happy. I think that's the best thing about it. And then, we're here as a parent to guide them on their way, but it's also good to stand back and watch what they want to do, see what comes to them, and, watch them flourish as their own person without dictating too much of their life. I think that's the most important thing when it comes to parenting, is to, guide them where they need guiding, but not step in the way too much where you're dictating what they should and shouldn't be doing through life. I find that their experience with the program and going through like all the chakras and seeing what comes up for them and watching their eyes light up, like, I can do that, oh my God, it just like, it lights up my life too, seeing that, and I've been, in so like using my intuition and whatnot throughout my whole life. Like I always tell Michelle that I'm just winging it, but it's more so just like following my gut on everything in life. And every time that I follow my gut and my intuition, I'm always right. So teaching that and passing those teachings down to my children is so important, because I know how powerful your intuition is. So it's been an amazing experience watching them go through the program, and going through the program myself even, and tapping into my own soul, and then, passing those teachings down onto them. It's incredible. And, I think they're starting to realize what they're capable of. They're starting to think about, oh my God, like, when I grow up, I want to be this, and, watching them just flourish. It's
That's so beautiful. And I know one of the things about kids is they're always learning from our energy, right? Like even more than our words. And so I'm just curious, like how you maintain your own energy and stay in alignment with your intuition so you can be that example for them, right?
Yeah. Well, I actually get me and my kids together, like, if it's been a rough day, because, I've got a 3-year-old, so they can be very up and down with emotions because they're learning to control their emotions and whatnot. And I actually found this technique that really works when he wakes up grumpy, or if he's in a bit of a grumpy mood, or having one of those toddler tantrum meltdowns. And it comes down to meditation. So we'll either sit down in a circle, we'll all do a meditation together to bring us that calmness and peace. And, just taking those deep breaths. When he's like really overwhelmed and whatnot, I actually get him to breathe on my face. I say, blow on mummy's nose. So it's getting him to focus on his breathing without him even really, he just thinks it's a game. So I find that really helps. Like, as I said, being a parent can be really difficult because, there's no rule book, there's no manual book with parenting. And I think the best thing is to just follow your gut on every little thing. So I tend to be a parent that does a bit more positive redirection rather than, discipline. And it works wonders. Like, we've really changed up our parenting style in the last 2 years or so. And it works so much better being, a calmer, positive. And, I get overwhelmed at times because kids, they're young, so they're very dependent on me. And when I'm trying to do my work and whatnot, sometimes we'll all be getting flustered at each other. And I think the best thing to do is take a step back and be like, okay, let's go to the park, or let's go to the beach and, just get out in nature and just be still, just be.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, it just makes everyone that little bit more calmer. And, you know, it's very important to keep that calmness because, you know, it does get very overwhelming at times being a parent, especially because I'm here by myself most of the times. You know, my partner, he works away. So oftentimes I feel a bit like a single parent doing it all on my own. And yeah, we just need those moments in time where, you know, it's all getting a bit chaotic. As it does in motherhood, and we just take a step back rather than, you know, keep pushing and pushing and pushing. It's like, okay, they're kids, they just want to play. Like they're just playful. So it's like tapping into that inner child, and, you know, just having fun, enjoying the moment. So yeah, we'll go to the park, or we'll go to the lake, or we'll even get the musical instruments out. We'll make a band and just all dance, put some music on and dance, and just really get that high vibing kind of vibrations happening, and it just makes everyone that little bit happier. And I find that your intuition is way more on point when you're in that high vibing frequency. So yeah.
Well, it is. It's like the first class, right? The foundation of love. So when you're in that place, then your intuition can give you that clear guidance because it's rooted in love, right? So you're getting that just really accurate read. And I think, you know, kids are so intuitive naturally. They just are. And so that's the thing about, as you know, in the program, it just nurtures what's already there, you know, and really holding that space of unconditional love and non-judgment lets us all be, but especially children, just be who they're meant to be. You know, I really truly believe we all come with a purpose, like a soul purpose that like only we can fulfill. So when that is nurtured early on, it's only natural to express it, you know?
Absolutely. I only wish I had these teachings when I was a child. So I kind of came across these. I was about 16 when I came across like all the, you know, positive thinking and that kind of stuff. I think the first book I ever read was The Secret by Rhonda Bryan. I think that's how you say her name. And that kind of set me on my path and whatnot. But I had a lot of blockages in there that I had to release and whatnot. So I'm so thankful that I know what I know now, and I can pass it on to my kids at such an early age so that, you know, they just flourish through life. And once they get to my age, they don't have all those blockages and whatnot that's hindering them, you know, from tapping into that intuition and following their heart and, you know, doing what they love, because it's possible to do what you love, make an income from what you love. You were here to do what you love. That's what life's meant to be about, is to, you know, be here, have fun. And we all came here for a reason. So I think it's just, finding that reason. But yeah, like from a young age, kids these days, they get put into that, it's like embedded in them, like through school. So they go to school for 6 hours a day, then they come home with 2 hours worth of homework, and then there's sports, and, you know, they're always so busy. So it's like they're conditioned to have a busy life. So I'm so thankful I have these teachings that I can be like, life doesn't have to be like this. Like, you can do whatever you want, you can do what makes you happy, and you can make an income from that and live a happy, free life. And just,
And I mean, one of the things I love about it is they know, like, you had taken that video of a snapshot of your eldest, like actually doing the classes on like the iPad, right? Like, or you put them on the telly or whatever, but I think the one you sent was on the iPad, and Christian and I were like, oh my goodness, this is so great. They're not watching cartoons. They're like actually wanting to watch how to follow their intuition. Like, they're drawn to it and they're wanting to do it. And so like when you give people the opportunity, like the right choice is there for them to just have fun and just move into it. So I just think it's so cool that they know and they're just gravitating towards it. You know, it's just really fun.
Yeah, they absolutely love it. Like, I've got a quote on their wall in their bedroom that, you know, every time they walk into their bedroom, they read it. My 7-year-old, he points it out to me all the time, and it says, if you dream big enough, anything can come true. And so that's kind of been, that quote has been on his wall since he was a baby, like since he was born. And so that's all he knows, is like anything can come true. And they just do, they automatically just follow their intuition, kids. And as a parent, you know, I find sometimes my eldest, he'll get caught up in the digital world, because it's a very digital world now. And I'll be like, okay, that's enough. Let's get out of the house, back into nature. Let's, you know, let it go. Because if you let them go, sometimes it gets a bit too much, and you can really see them, you know, starting to get snappy and aggressive and whatnot. So if you can recognize those signs of when they're getting too much, stimulation, I think that would call it too much stimulation, they start getting a bit snappy and aggressive. And as an intuitive parent, I recognize that, I feel that, and I'm like, okay, let's go to the beach, or let's go somewhere where we'll, you know, bring us back down to earth, ground us again, and then
right. Wow.
So yeah, it's very powerful having all these teachings as a parent and passing it on to my kids. So
yeah. What if you noticed, like, as they're taking the classes, like, how is their behavior shifting? Like, I know you were bringing something up about meditation, like Cooper wanted to do a meditation for the kids in Ecuador. I mean, it's just like the inspirations that start to come through are just so beautiful and so organic, you know?
Yeah. Well, I've noticed really so much with Cooper mostly. You know, my youngest has only just started talking. So, and he's kind of happy all the time anyways, because he's 3. So I'm very grateful that I have these teachings to give him now, so that once he gets to Cooper's age, it won't be so much backtracking and whatnot.
Cooper, yeah, I mean, your little 3-year-old feels it, because it's like when we hop on Zoom, he's like on your lap, like he feels it, and then he's like, I want to listen to the class. So it's like, we've talked about it before, like even when kids we think they don't understand the words. I actually think they do understand the words. But even if they don't understand the words, they feel the energy, and they're being shifted from that place. So it's just so important to like really know that they're picking it up. They're absorbing it all of the time. So when you're giving them this positive reinforcement, you know, that I love that redirect, like, hey, like, you know, go towards the positive path, you know, like maybe I don't like the word no very much, you know, sometimes they have to use it, but it's like redirect, right? And so they don't feel restricted. They feel just like, oh, let's flow it over here. So anyways, I know you were mentioning a little bit more about Cooper, which absolutely, I wanted to mention Colby. He's so funny because he feels it, because I feel him feeling it.
Now, like if he falls over, he's very clumsy, my younger. So if he falls over and hurts himself, now instead of getting up and like just being beside himself, he'll get up and he'll go take like 3 big deep breaths, and he's okay, I'm good, and he'll be on the go again. So he definitely takes it all in, and it just it's amazing to see them flourish. So I've noticed with Cooper, like a lot calmer, he's a lot kinder, there's not as much attitude. Like everyone talks about, you know, 7-year-olds and their attitude and whatnot, and you know, obviously we still get it because they're kids, but I know what to do and how to redirect that. It's amazing.
I love it.
It helps so much. Everyone with kids, because as I said, like, you know, there's no manual book when it comes to parenting, and so you know, your kids will be losing it, and you'll be like, oh my god, what do I do? And now that I have these teachings, it's like all we got to do is get them to regulate their emotions. We just got to guide them on how to control those emotions in a much more better way, more positive way, rather than, you know, go and lock them in their bedroom by themselves, or, you know, smack them or anything. Like, I just don't like any of those tactics. I'd prefer to sit down and be like, okay, so that's our discipline in our house. It's like, okay, everyone sit down and let's do a meditation. And it helps so much better. Or I'll be like, okay, let's get out of the house, let's go for a walk, like let's clear our heads. And you know, as an adult, that's how I deal with, we all, you know, are up and down with emotions and whatnot. So, you know, if I'm having a bad day, I will get out and go for a walk. And I think kids need to learn that, because, you know, you see adults that don't know how to regulate their emotions, and they'll go and, you know, punch holes in the walls or anything like that. And it's like, you don't want to, you know, have them to be to deal with their emotions in an angry way, which is often how toddlers and young kids will deal with their emotions. They'll start, you know, chucking stuff and whatnot. So being able to teach them how to regulate, and that it's okay to have emotions, and it's okay to feel emotions, but this is how we, you know, can calm them down and bring them ourselves back to ourselves, basically. Tap into you, and you know, this isn't you, you're a kind, loving boy, and you know, let's bring that back. So it's very, every parent needs those teachings to pass on to their kids, because it makes such a happy, more peaceful household too. So
Yeah, and then I just keep seeing the word meditation because that's what Cooper was doing. He's like, I mean, can you tell the story? Because as I remember, it was something like, Mom, can I mean, you sent me a clip about an actual meditation he did, but there was some
Yeah.
inspiration. He was like, let's do this for the kids, or what's the story? It's so good.
He wants to make like a series, a meditation series for kids. And he's actually really good at calming people down. So we'll lay in bed at night, we'll put some calm music on, and he'll take you through. He'll be like, okay, pretend you're on a fluffy cloud and you can see a rainbow. And like, I will get into it and I'll listen to everything he says. And all of a sudden I'll be floating on a fluffy cloud and I'll fall asleep myself because he's got that really naturally calming vibe about him. So
Yeah.
he's yeah, got the love.
Yeah,
And
he really does. And so many kids, like myself included, when I was a kid, we would see beyond the physical. So when he's saying puffy clouds and rainbows, it's possible that he's seeing them, or maybe he's imagining them. All I know is when I was a kid, I was seeing things beyond the physical, and other kids have like come up and just, I know of them that just do, so it's kind of like, if we can say, you know what, I totally validate what you're seeing and feeling, and, really bring the light in, they feel safe to actually share what they're seeing, because sometimes it's more than other people might see, so it's like, just to really, to me, that is intuition. It's beyond the physical. Sometimes it's this deep knowing, and it can show up as clairvoyance, where they're like images. I mean, I was just with a client, was it this morning, and she's like, oh my goodness, Abby, she's like, I saw an eye, like my third eye. I was like, your third eye just opened, she's like, and I saw a flower behind it. It's like, it starts opening when we bring awareness to it. So these children, I mean, especially, I feel like more and more are just like crystal children, more, they have a higher and higher sensitivity. So that's why, to me, it's our job to create that program
yeah,
space for them to be like, I got you, you're good, it's all within you, keep activating it, keep being you, and you're safe, you're held
yeah,
in love.
yeah. I think Cooper, he was born to be here to help or be a healer of some kind, because every time, like, we met those kids and we got off the call and he was like, let's make some meditation classes, we'll sell them so we can donate to those kids that don't have anything. He
Right.
really recognizes how lucky he is. Even not too long ago, we were out in our local town and he seen a homeless person sitting on the street, and he just started bawling his eyes out. He was like, we need to give them money, we need to help him. And I was like, well, we don't have any cash on us today, like we've only got our cards and we can't give him our cards. And then we came home and Cooper grabbed his money box and he was like, I want to give him all of it. Like, he's like, I don't need it. He needs it more than we do. And so we drove back to Swansea. By the time we got there, the homeless man wasn't there anymore. But we drove back to give this homeless guy his entire money box. Like, he was ready to give away his life savings to this homeless man. And if that's what felt right for him, I was happy to pursue it. I'm like, okay, if that's what you want to do, like, for sure, like, so he really wants to get in and help those that don't. Like, he recognizes how lucky we are to have a roof over our heads, to have food in our fridge, to have a bed to sleep in. Like, he recognizes all those it's the little things in life.
It
And I
really
think
is. It is.
that's been probably the biggest thing that I've noticed with him, is how much he wants to help. Once he's like started tapping into his intuition, he just he just wants to give.
Mm-hmm. And that's really what I talk about intuition being, is it naturally is going to be what serves you and everybody else involved, because it's your inner connectedness to life and to your soul, right? And so it's kind of like you're feeling in the moment, what's best. And so it's a synchronicity. It all works together. Wow. Is there anything else you want to share just about other stories or experiences of them following their intuition? I mean, I just love hearing what you're sharing. It's just so beautiful.
Yeah, well, actually, like, I was just thinking about, like, when he was learning to ride a bike without training wheels, and he was really struggling with it at first, and he was getting quite upset, quite frustrated because he couldn't. And his other friend was riding a bike with no training wheels, so he was determined to do it, but he just couldn't do it. And it probably took like 40 minutes, and he chucked the bike on the floor and was like, I give up. And I went over to him. I was like, you are brave. And then, like, got him to repeat it. He was like, I am brave, you are strong, and like was doing the positive affirmations. It was like, now visualize yourself riding that bike. Like, close your eyes and really visualize it. He done that, He jumped on the bike and off he was going. He was riding. I was like, that's all it took was a little bit of, believing in yourself. Like, you can do it.
Yeah.
Don't give up just yet. You want to ride this bike, right? I was like, just take some deep breaths, do some positive affirmations, do some visualization, and then off he went. And I think even that, he was like, oh my God, Mom, that worked. And it was just amazing to see. So little things like that, like, because kids do, when they want to do something, they get quite frustrated after a little bit. They'll be like, oh, I can't do it, and I just want to do it. And then it's like taking them back and be like, okay, let's get some belief happening there, because they've been trying for a while, they're starting to stop believing, and it's like, okay. And then we go through the positive affirmations, we do some deep breaths, we do some visualization of him doing the thing that he wants to do, and then off he goes.
Wow.
So, it's amazing to know those little techniques to help them out in life too. Because if I didn't know that, and then he chucked his bike on the ground, was like, I give up, then I probably would be like, okay, and we would have walked away and he would have given up on it. So I think it's important to help them to continue believing in themselves. 100%.
Is there any advice you would give as an intuitive parent, to somebody who's watching this video, and as far as the program, like what advice would you give?
I would go through the program. Go through the program for yourself, tap into your own soul, because I think the most important thing too is a happy parent. Because if you're unhappy yourself, it rubs off on your kids. And I've noticed that, I've spoken to you about, when I went through postpartum depression, when I had my second child and whatnot, and it really rubs off in the family. You really notice it. So the first part is to, tap into yourself, make sure you're happy, and then passing those teachings onto your kids, and putting them through the program too, because as you said, like my kids, like I really was skeptical if they'd get into it and if they'd understand it and whatnot, but they're really getting into it. Cooper gets a pen and piece of paper out and he's writing, like every time you ask a question he'll write it out. Like he's really tapping into himself and he loves it, because it just opens up his eyes. It's like it brings the spark back. So it doesn't matter what age your kids are, you can and as I said, like they're so conditioned these days that they go to school for so long and then they've got homework, and they're so conditioned for a busy life that it's so important that we need to teach them that it doesn't have to be that way.
Wow. That's amazing. So what she's talking about is you can go to www.theintuitivechild.co, and you can actually register yourself and your children or the children for that program, and it's classes every week. It's basically, Christian and I are developing it, but what Amber is talking about is she's also in the Intuitive Success Club, which is for adults. So what I did and we're doing is taking the program for adults and creating the children's version. So basically it's the steps of connecting with your intuition, activating your purpose, doing what you absolutely love, and like clearing those blockages that she was talking about, so you don't have those things. And the blocks, sometimes it can be physical, but usually they're created as mental and emotional blocks, where there's a belief that's been created that inhibits the natural life force of really truly love coming through you. So when you have a new supportive belief, you're then able to express that life force of love through you. So that's the second part. And then the third part is basically monetizing your gifts or manifesting your dreams. So usually they go hand in hand. And at first I was like, man, can we really even like teach kids about money? And then I thought, no, money's a part of life. This is important. And then Amber reported a couple of weeks ago, I think it was like, oh, Colby, your 3-year-old is like, Mom, I want to make $40,000 a day. I was like, well, at least he's understanding that. Like I said, he understands. And I'm like, rock on, like you're on the millionaire path. This is good, but it's just like, they do get it. So, so that program is at www.intuitivesuccessclub.com, and you'll see how it all links together. So basically when somebody joins the club, we donate a course, The Intuitive Child, to one of the kids in needs in Ecuador. So we have a nonprofit called One Heart Global. And so we gift one back to them. moving forward. And then we also have been giving them money just in general, helping them sustain themselves. And our goal is to build a school and wellness center for them. So it's a big full circle, but it really starts with you, becoming more intuitive, giving your children this opportunity to really nurture their gifts, who they are. And I don't remember the tagline right now, but it's something like really each child is born uniquely, who they are. And as we just really allow them to be that, this world becomes a better place. So yeah, again, that's www.theintuitivechild.co. And Amber, did you want to add something else?
Yeah, it was so funny when I just heard you talking about the money.
Yeah.
And yet, Cooper came out and was like, oh, $40,000 a day. I was like, oh, okay, that's a lot of money. What are you going to do with that?
Yeah.
And he was like, oh, well, I'll buy this, 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 and this. And then he was like, and, I want to help the kids, and, he wants to give back as well. So it wasn't all for him. He didn't want that money just so that he could buy, a nice car and stuff like that. He wanted that money so that he could give back to the world as well, make the world a better place. So it's just amazing to, see my kids flourish like that. It's like, oh my God, like you have the biggest heart. And I think they are all born with a big heart, and they are all born to want to serve and help others. And it's just a matter of conditioning that brings them out of that. So if you can bring them back into alignment with themselves and what they were here to do, it's amazing to see, and it just makes such a happier household.
Yeah, and it is true, like the upbringing of them knowing so young, right? Like, 3 and 7, right? They're having this experience of like, you can do it, right? So it's kind of taking out like what could have happened if they didn't have it, right? It's like, it's the opposite of maybe what some of us went through, right? It's like, actually, you can have this now. You don't have to necessarily go through the trauma or drama of it. You can just have it easy and simple, and the training's there for you, So I think that's so beautiful. So yeah, well, I actually need to wrap up, but again, you can go to www.theintuitivechild.co. And I think, should we also just share the nonprofit site? I think we'll just let everybody know that if you go to www.oneheartglobal.co, you can go ahead and read about the mission, and hopefully we'll get everybody updated with the team there. So yeah, so much expansion has been happening so fast. But thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. And thank you, Amber, for being available for this interview, and give your kids a really big hug for me. And I will probably see you guys tomorrow on Instagram. All right. Take care. Thank you.